1. So I got a job about 2 months ago, and I'm female in my late teens. I've never been in a relationship and have absolutely no interest. Lately, male customers have been hitting on me. They don't want to take no for an answer. It feels awkward, and sometimes I want to cry because it seems like it only happens to me, since my coworkers are adults in their 20s to 50s. Today, I welcomed a customer, went through the customer service process just doing my job. At first, the guy around his 30s made me nervous, but I shut it down. Then made open-ended jokes that could have been perceived as funny or inappropriate. He asked for my number. I said no, thinking he was joking. I ignored it and kept it professional. When it came to checking out, he joked about me paying for him, which I couldn't care less and didn't mind. Again, he asked for my number and I refused. The process was over with and I thought I got lucky. His other male friends proceeded to buy and check out smaller items. This brought the customer one more time to ask about my work schedule. I didn't give it out and said I don't have a specific shift. He then proceeded to ask about my social media. I said I didn't have any, then asked for my number again. At this point, I'm sweating and trying to get him out of the store. I tell him that I don't give numbers to strangers. He kept pressing for something. He claimed everyone has an email. Annoyed, I gave him an email I no longer used. I debated on a fake one. I have an app that gives out numbers in use, and maybe I should have given him that. But I want no contact with him. I can't tell what would attract him. My hair was unkempt than it usually is, my lips were dry from dehydration, and I was covered top to bottom to the point I felt like I was overheating. What irks me is one of the women, middle-aged coworker, assistant manager, noticed I was uncomfy and getting hit on. Just watched the whole interaction. Then had the audacity to tell me she could tell what was happening after I complained to her. I know I should expect nothing from anyone at work. A month before that, I had a man directly stare at me from the display window. He wasn't looking down at the products. His gaze was fixated on me. Weeks before that, walking back from my lunch break, a guy almost broke his neck staring me down. I've got more stories with these kind of occurrences, but it would take days to tell. I'm fucking tired. Why can't they just buy their shit window shop and take no for an answer, then leave? Two. I worked from 7 to 4 on the register on Black Friday. At first things went well, busy of course, but nothing bad. Eventually I was approached with my first slightly insufferable customer. She tried to blame me for her store card not being activated, even though she said she got it in the mail this week and hasn't used it yet. She started getting mad at me when I explained I can give her the number to call to activate it, but she will have to step away so I can continue to check people out. We always make them do this because it can take up to 20 minutes to get it resolved with customer service, and I was the only cashier at that point. This set her off and made her feel the need to just use her normal card. After that, things were going great until I came face to face with the next insufferable customer. This lady was mad she couldn't get the free gift because she didn't buy the amount needed for the gift. She continues to yell at me over it, saying that she shops here all the time and she deserves a gift. I told her that's not how it works and to have a nice day. She then went on to 2 of my managers in the hopes of getting her way, but they sided with me, of course. A little after this, I come face to face with my most insufferable customer. She was making 2 separate purchases, both reaching the amount for the free gift, but you can only give 1 free gift a day per rewards account. She got her free gift after paying for her first purchase. After I finished her second purchase, and after she paid, she demanded another free gift. I explained the policy, and she said that's not how it works. She demanded a manager come up and talk to her, and they told her exactly what I told her. So then I had to return all of the items from the second purchase and rescan them, in hopes her daughter had an account she could use. Well, she didn't. She wanted to make her daughter an account, and I explained to her she can, but she'll have to go to the back of the line because she has held up the line for about 15 minutes, and my manager is telling me over the headset to put her in the back. She started yelling at me, saying she doesn't care, and she's getting her free gift. I told her that's okay, but she needs to go to the back. After about 2 minutes of going back and forth, she finally went to the back, and I went for my lunch. After lunch, we all realized our other manager never showed up and they were ignoring calls. Hopefully nothing happened, but the other day they kept complaining about how they didn't want to close, so we assumed they just didn't show up. Towards the last 15 minutes of my shift, I started to get extremely dizzy because I didn't eat during my lunch and I was running off of energy drinks, plus I ate 2 bites of cereal for breakfast. I had to have my mom pick me up, since my manager wouldn't let me leave a couple of minutes early, and I progressively got worse. 3. Work at a retail clothing store in between classes, and have been there for about 2 months now. Our store in particular is a fucking shit show because we're so understaffed and we don't even have a store manager right now. Anyways, today the district manager came in, and it was my first time meeting them. Their introduction spiel included the phrase, "I'm literally the nicest person ever." Who says that? Also, like 5 people at work all emphasize on what a dingus you are. Anyways, context. This lady who is in training as a supervisor was talking about me. Or so I heard from this other girl who I'm quite close with. I felt like she was being kind of aggressive to me, so I just asked if everything was okay with us, as I heard a couple of things and wanted to make peace if there was any animosity. She insisted she didn't say shit, and went straight to the DM and said God knows what. First of all, one person would tell me to do one thing, and then another would bitch at me for doing said thing. Literally the entire day I just felt singled out. I was going into the bathroom to take a second, and then my friend, the one who told me the girl was talking nonsense, came and said the DM wants to talk to us. Now, I have only recently been diagnosed with BPD, and I'm still learning how to calm my big emotions. I broke down and just said I needed a sec, and then the goddamn DM comes into the bathroom and is like, "Come now." At this point, I'm so anxious because WTF, and I started tearing up. This condescending bitch immediately starts grilling me on why I'm crying, and I'm now hyperventilating so hard I can't even get a word out. She then gives us some big rant about there's a drama in the store, when first of all today I was being nice and trying to make peace. The assistant manager is there too, so now there are 3 people who I haven't known for more than 2 months witnessing me having a panic attack. After her stupid rant, she bitches out the other girl for asking to leave early once or twice. Okay. And then proceeds to grill me about why I'm upset. She is asking me about my personal life and what's causing me to be like this. But I'm gasping for air with tears streaming down my face. She then asks the other 2 girls in the room if they know anything about my personal life, and the assistant manager revealed something that I had told her in confidence. It was literally the worst thing ever, and I honestly was only focused on trying not to gasp too loudly for air, and I could not sit still, and there were tears running down my face, and I was just holding my hands over my mouth to keep quiet. I felt like I was on display, and they just kept staring at me, and would look away when I looked up. It just all seemed so wild to me when I clearly needed a moment when I couldn't even speak, to ask to go to the bathroom, but they were barricading the door anyways. DM then makes the other girl leave, and now it's just me, the AM, and DM. I am literally trying to explain between breaths. I was trying to take a second in the bathroom, and that's all I really need right now, please, cause I'm like obviously fucking mortified at myself and beyond embarrassed. They wouldn't let me leave for a bit, even though at this point my shift was over, because they didn't want anyone on the floor to see me miserable. Stupid DM asked, "Do you need a hug?" in the most condescending tone. Also, I don't know you. Finally, I go to the bathroom and leave. Go back into the bathroom and grab my stuff, and the bitch says, "See you tomorrow." I didn't even know she was coming back. Anyways, I'm mortified, and I sent an email to the AM giving a month's notice, because I know we're short-staffed, and I want to give them time to hire because I have really grown to like a lot of the girls in the store, and don't want to screw them all over. I made it a point to say the experience was belittling, and I didn't think it was fair to force me to have a meeting in my most vulnerable state. I was planning on quitting by the new year anyways, since I am doing co-op next term, but I felt like this was the right time to do so. Am I in the wrong? Elfreezer's note. Yes, the OP was indeed in the wrong by giving them a month's notice. Now, they should certainly check where they live to see if they're legally required to give notice, and if they're not, just go right away. that extra month will be nothing but hell on earth for them. If they're able to leave right away, do it. I did, and I've never regretted it. 4. I was working for just above minimum wage at a little tourist attraction my college ran. I was the only person willing to work in the gift shop, which was in a little outdoor trailer. It was honestly the easiest work, so I have no clue why no one else wanted to be in there, but I digress. Not much about the group in this first story stuck with me, but I do remember the older lady, maybe in her 50s or 60s, who is the main person of this story. She walks in with some other people in her group and looks around, looking more and more indecisive as she looks at our collections of rocks, toys, and souvenir items. She comes up to the register and picks up a souvenir magnet, then asks what I would recommend for her to get for the rest of the family, consisting of a few adults and a slightly larger number of children. By this time I had been the sole stalker of this gift shop for 6 months, and I knew our stock and where it was like the back of my hand. I had also picked up how to be an amazing salesperson at some point, so I start recommending several toys for the kids, books and postcards for the adults, and a few collectibles for everyone. The lady thanks me and starts picking up probably 10 paper plane mystery bags, 2 or 3 snake plushes, and a handful of collectible rocks, maybe 15 postcards, and a few other items. The rest of her group also brings up anywhere from 1 to 3 items per person, and the total ended up being over $100. One of the group members remarked that they thought they were only spending $50, and the main lady said something about getting things for the whole family, sending postcards to her friends, and supporting the attraction. She paid for everything and then even added some souvenir bags onto the purchase, when I asked if she would like plastic bags or to pay a little extra for the souvenir bags. The group thanked me and left, and the whole situation just made me feel good about my ability to sell way more than someone originally intended to buy. The second story involves a set of parents and their children, a little girl and a little boy. The little boy loved the bouncy rubber balls we were selling and asked his dad for one, while the girl was looking at some plush snakes and seeming a little disappointed in the options. I decided to point out the 5'6" snakes on the top shelf. The girl looked at the giant fuzzy snakes, then turned to her dad with the most excited look I had ever seen. The dad looked at me with an exasperated smile and asked, "Why did you have to point those out?" As the little boy also started looking excited about the snakes. The family bought the snakes, and the children immediately put them around their necks like scarves and bounced happily out of the shop. Another triumph of my salesmanship. This last story is not about how good I was at upselling. On a very slow day, an elderly man walked in and bought a few things. He paid in cash, and the change ended up being a few cents over $5. As I started to hand him the change, he put up his hand and said, "You need it more than I do," then smiled. We were allowed to accept tips as long as the customer told us to keep the change. But most people would only have received change under $1 when they said this. That kind old man let me have the $5. I almost cried as I thanked him. I know $5 isn't a lot, but I was a broke college student at the time. 5. This was about 7 years ago, but I almost had a repeat of this the other day, and it reminded me. My in-laws have a tradition of getting family photos done every year. We have turned into Christmas cards. I know they're not the only family to do it, but it's nice to do. As such, we tend to dress up a bit nicely. The place where we'd always get our pictures taken was down the road from one of the guitar shops I'd frequent. I was in there all the time, no exaggeration, probably 2 or 3 times a week. It didn't help that it was on the way home from work for me. Because of my frequency there, I was on a first-name basis with most of the employees and managers, and knew the layout of the store like the back of my hand. I left the house a bit early to beat traffic, and while I'm waiting for everyone else to get there, I pop into the guitar store. I'm dressed for the pictures, mostly suit, jacket, and tie got left in the car. So just my fancy pants and dress shirt. I'm looking around at a couple of basses, trying to find one to consider buying. Side note about this, one of my biggest pet peeves is poorly set up instruments in guitar shops. If anyone has ever been to any decent-sized guitar shop, you know the basses tend to be the red-headed stepchildren when compared to the guitars, drums, marching band, instruments, etc. Having been there enough, and having bought 3 or 4 instruments and an amplifier or 2 over the summer, the guitar manager was cool with me bringing my guitar multi-tool if I needed to make a small adjustment to make an instrument more playable. Midway through me trying to adjust a Geddy Lee jazz bass, an older couple comes up to me asking if I'd be able to recommend a starter kit for their grandson. I take them over to a display with a Squier bass, amp and cable kit. I think at the same time it was probably $200 or so for everything you need to start playing. It's a good deal and was my first new instrument I bought myself a few years prior, so I was familiar with it. I talked to them about the pros and cons of the kit, show them a similar instrument on the rack, and the same amp on the floor so they can get an idea of what it might sound like. I also mention a small handful of things that might be handy for a new player, like a basic guitar stand and a headphone amplifier to practice without bothering the entire neighborhood. They're really liking what they're hearing and want me to help ring them up so they can have it ready for their grandson. I tell them something along the lines of, "I can't do that, I don't work here, but Henry is the manager in this department, he can take care of you." They were taken aback a bit, but they got what they wanted, and I got to kill some time and probably make some kid's Christmas. So it all works out in the end. This happened again a few weeks ago when another couple was looking for a starter electric guitar for their daughter. I'm a bit socially awkward, but I really like my instruments, and I like sharing the love with random people. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 188. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, I would appreciate it if you would press the like button, as that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video and encourages them to recommend it to other people. That means I can make more videos in the future. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, anywhere from a few days to a week, I tend to post them late Monday, early Tuesday. Now you can get them by supporting me through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. You could probably also just search for Hellfreezer on Patreon. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer Teespring merchandise store in the description, where you can get yourself some hoodies and mugs and that sort of thing. And if you'd like to support the channel on a more one-time basis, then you can do so by making donations during streams and videos like this one. And the way you do that is you press that little heart logo beneath the video, it's got a $sign in it, and you can select however much that is you'd like to tip. Think of it like a tip jar, and while you don't have to do this, and you never have to do this, the videos do remain available, I do appreciate it. And especially in these cold, shivery winter days, you've been helping me a lot. Okay, now, I do have a belated birthday shout-out to do, a lot of those lately. This one should have went out last week, and entirely my fault. I didn't think I had any for that week. I thought I was all done, and I'd cleared out the birthday folder, but I had one left, and this one goes to Rory. And Rory was 46 yesterday, on the 27th of the month there, and I hope you had an amazing birthday, Rory. Sorry we're a day late. Old Hellfreezer is old and does not function as well as he used to. But I hope you had an amazing birthday with lots of cake, and if you would like to participate in a little booze, then of course you should definitely indulge within reason, everything in moderation, and lots of chocolate and hugs and all the good things you enjoy. And as it is near the end of the month, you should probably celebrate right through till January, just to make sure you've done a proper job of it. And before I go, I'd like to sing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rory. Happy birthday to you. Alrighty. Now, before we go, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is your favorite podcast of the moment? If you listen to podcasts, of course that is. My favorite one right now is one I listen to while I'm working and editing and, kind of like doing all the non-recorded parts of making the videos. and that is Behind the Bastards. Yes, it's a very naughty title, but it's a podcast about naughty people. They tend to be at least 2 parts, sometimes more, depending on the person, how much there is to go through on them, and it's essentially chronicling their life and explaining how they got to where they were, not making excuses for the kind of people they became, but just giving you an idea of what they were. It's like a biography sort of thing. Why don't you recommend yours in a comment below, and maybe I'll find something good to listen to. I'm always on the lookout for something new and interesting. And with that, I'm going to head off for now, because this outro is getting long. Yowza. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.